Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing my out-of-box review for the real grade Gundam Astray gold frame Amatsu Mina. Right, so as I said in the unboxing, this is a design that I really quite like, and building this kit has really been an eye-opener for me because I like the design of this kit, but just from the pictures of it, I think there was a lot of little bits and things about the design that I just never really noticed that much, that actually building it allowed me to notice quite very obviously. So it was definitely an interesting experience building this. It was a really interesting kit to build just because of that, and I think just because it's a very black and gold suit. I mean, it's just a really busy design, and I think you'll see this as I get this going around for. The other thing you'll notice right off the bat is that I don't have this standing on its own because, try as I did, I could not get this thing to actually stand up on its own. The backpack is too heavy. You'd have to be doing a severe, Michael Jackson lean forward there to be able to get this to stand on its own, or do some kind of action pose. But if you want to have it just standing in a pose like this, I found it just not able to. I don't know if maybe attaching some of the weapons onto the arms, maybe that would have helped sort of weigh the kit a little bit down in the front, or at least in the center a little bit more, but I really don't think that probably would have helped too much. So anyway, I'm sure in some action pose where you have it standing and posed, and especially holding the weapons and stuff, you could surely get it to stand on its own, but I'm just gonna be having this up on an action base for most of this because yep. So yeah, aside from all the black and gold, we have a little bits of red poking out here and there. I really love that. And as we noticed in the unboxing, there's actually two different tones of gold and a couple different tones of black. So we have black gloss, and then we have a really dark gray gloss, and then we have a really dark gray or black that's a little bit more matte finish, not quite as glossy. So again, from a distance, you're really probably not going to notice that too much. There's some areas, maybe especially on the legs, where you can notice that more because we have the thigh piece and the piece for the front of the knee is in that a little bit more dull black, and so it's maybe a little bit more obvious. The gold is pretty much not noticeable at all, the two different tones of gold. Maybe on the arm you can notice that, but for the most part I really don't think anyone's really going to be able to see that unless you point it out, and even then it's kind of hard to see. But overall the color scheme is really cool. I like it. The eyes, the little tiny bit of blue for the eyes does poke out if you're actually looking at it up close. Super unique head design. Really tiny pieces in there for the head, so you're gonna have to really be careful with this. Also, just wanted to say this before I forget, that this is not a real grade I would recommend to anyone who's wanting to get their first real grade kit, unless you're someone who's maybe built loads of master grades and you've just been building for a long time, you've just never taken the plunge into real grades. You'll be fine. But if you're still relatively new to the hobby and maybe you've built a handful of high grades, maybe even a master grade or two, you want to give the real grade line a try. This one you might find a little bit difficult. I have full confidence you'll be able to do it, no problem, but just be wary that there are some really super tiny parts, and this kit is a little bit more complicated than the average real grade build, I think. Also, the nubs, which we'll be sure to talk about here more in a moment. But I just want to take a chance to talk about some of the articulation. So for the most part, it's going to be exactly the same as the real grade Astray, which is going to be pretty much exactly the same as pretty much any RG kit. The articulation is really nice. Also want to point out that I did try out at least one of the stickers. If you'll remember, we do have this big sticker sheet, a whole bunch of markings and those little gold ones and stuff and all that. I tried one out on the shoulder just because the stickers are in that thin high gloss, and as you can see, it doesn't really look that good. So I think one thing that could help is maybe trimming the sticker a little bit, because you can see it's just if the fit is half a millimeter off, then you're gonna notice it, because unlike that gloss plastic, it just really has to be perfect, and they're just not going to look that good, I think. And just because of the fact that I would take them off before painting again, I just really didn't be bothered putting them all on here. But I did put the stickers also on the eyes and for the little tiny blue camera there in the top of the head, which you really can't see at all, so it's kind of pointless. But so yeah, there's little tiny blue stickers there on the eyes, and this is even going to be really kind of hard to show you guys, but kind of bear with me here. I know it's dark. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. We have this little piece that goes like on the sides of the head. That will actually move up and down a little bit. So like as you're moving the head articulation though, still relatively good. Can go up to there. Really super unique head design. Very long and pointy like that. Down to there. So down not all that much, but back is pretty okay. And it's kind of starting to hit there, but you can see like those red parts, that's the two separate red parts there for the end. And so there's just a lot of really complicated parts going in on there for the head. For the shoulders, they're obviously asymmetrical. It's one thing I really like about this kit. Really love the look of the Blitz arm here on this. Definitely it looks really cool. It gives it a really unique look. For those of you who may be wondering if you can build just 2 of the gold frame arms, you almost can. You're missing just a couple parts for that. So you could maybe do it and then have it look like it's still like kind of under construction or something, but you can't quite build a full second arm for this side if you wanted to have them symmetrical. Anyway, this little fin here up on the top of the shoulder moves independently, so you can move that. It seems kind of silly. I don't really know why anyone would want to do that. So I kind of wish that they would have just made that fixed, because then that just makes your life easier when you're trying to pose it. But the shoulder itself will move separately, like most real grade shoulder armor. It does have a tendency to fall off quite easily, so just be a little bit careful with that. But the arms can move forward, they can swing forward just a little bit and back just on that joint, and then up. Obviously not going to be too much of a problem moving up about as far as you could want. And then of course just normal double bend in the elbow, and then just wrists on ball joints. In the midsection, we're going to have a pretty nice bend forward to there, like that, and back. It's kind of hard with the backpack on there, but it does go forward and back just a little bit, side to side just a little bit, so there is some articulation there. Nothing really too crazy. The cockpit hatch does open up. If I can pull this like that. There we go. So it's a cool cockpit hatch opening gimmick like that, and you can see the chair inside and all that, but of course there's no pilot figure seated inside there. We do have a standing pilot figure of Gundam Mina, but we'll get back to that in a moment. The front skirts, small and insignificant as they are, can move separately on there. The side skirts, again, also pretty small and insignificant, can also move. The legs, we have just the hip is just plugged in there straight, so the hip doesn't swing or anything at all, which is actually kind of okay, but what it does do is the whole kind of hip section does swing forward here at the back. It's going to be kind of hard to show you. Hopefully you guys can see that. There you go, you can see that. Whole thing sliding like that. So that's how that works. Then the legs are just very normal. You have some rotation there at the top, but it's kind of hindered by the armor. I love this little red piece there sticking off to the side. That's a nice little touch there. And then nice double joint here in the knee, where you have all sorts of armor moving here in the legs. So you have the thigh armor moving, the knee armor moving separately, and even the 2 parts of the knee armor separate there. These parts here on the leg also slide when you're bending that, so I'm not sure how you can see that, but if I show you like this... Okay, never mind, I don't know what I was talking about actually. I thought that those moved or something, but maybe I was thinking of a different kit. Never mind about that, but anyway, down to the ankles, and so really interesting design here at the bottom of the feet. This is one of the things that sets the Amatsu Mina apart from the regular Amatsu, was that the regular Amatsu just had the normal Astray legs and feet, but then these were given some more extra armor here and new feet, complete with this gold part. Going to be kind of hard to see. Maybe easier if I just take this like this. You can see there we have a little kanji there on the top of the foot. That is the kanji for the Amatsu there. And overall the ankles actually kind of a little bit limited in its articulation. Side to side is kind of okay, but with this new big piece here on the front and this ankle armor just kind of seems like wedged in there, it really just kind of gets in the way. Putting the feet down is kind of okay. Forward, they just don't really want to move forward or back very much. It's very limited, and then we have this little red fin on the back which can move up and down. Again, seems like kind of like the shoulder armor. I don't really see any point to having it moving up and down. It would have been fine if it was just fixed like that. But anyway, let's move on to the backpack. The backpack is also kind of strange because you would expect it to move in ways that it just doesn't really. So when you have these wings folded out, first of all, they're super cool. Really love the design of that and all that gloss. But here's one of the places where you're going to have some nubs, like on most of the parts, most of the black The nubs are hidden relatively well, and they're not too bad to clean up, but there are a couple ones. You can maybe see that one here. That was just really hard to clean up on this black piece. So the wings fold out like that, of course, but then you expect them to fold back, but they really don't fold back very much. Like, that's it. That's it. They can go forward more, but back is just not really. You can also rotate them like that, and you can kind of have them going back that way. You can also rotate them forward and going around like that. One thing that I didn't know, which was interesting when I read the wiki about this after I was finished building it, preparing for this review, is that these claws, what they actually do is suck the battery life out of an enemy mobile suit, and that's transferred into the gold frame here, and so it can actually recharge its own power plant battery by using those claws on an enemy mobile suit. That's pretty cool. These little flaps here on the gold vents on the backpack move a little bit. And then on the wings we have this part which moves up and down here. As you saw here, this part moves separately, and this little dart comes off of there, and that can, we have a wire for that as well. Here this part slides like that. This part swings, this part extends, this part hinges like that. So a lot of stuff going on here in those wings. They're quite complicated and very, very cool. They also make for a good makeshift tripod. That's nice. So let's get into talking about the accessories, because we have a lot of accessories to talk about as well. Trying to get through this as quick as possible. There's just a lot to talk about with this kit. So here we have our pilot figure. It's cool that it's molded in gold. So I know most people don't paint these. So for those people who aren't going to paint, at least you have it in gold, which looks pretty nice actually. Or for those of you who want to paint, obviously that will look good too. For hand options, there on the kit you can see obviously the hands are asymmetrical. So that is important, and those are just the regular holding hands. We do also have just the regular RG style hands that are molded on the B runner. So these are the articulated hands, but they're not molded in the correct colors, unfortunately. But if you really wanted some articulated hands, you can use these. Personally, I really don't like these hands at all, so I won't. Then we do also, of course, have just the RG style fists, which again are molded onto the runner. So they're both in gold, which is not the correct color. So you have the correct color for one side, but no correct closed fist for the Blitz arm. But then we do also, thankfully, have our open hands, which are molded in the correct colors. So we have the gold one, and then we have the Blitz one, and love, love, love this hand. Super nice looking just because of the pose, but then also those little tips there, those sharp little claws on the end of the fingers look super, super cool. Alright, then getting into the weapons, we have these two swords. Now all these weapons have really complicated Japanese names. I can't remember off the top of my head, and I don't think it was anywhere in the shield or in the manual. I was going to say, I don't think it's anywhere in the manual that I can notice, but anyway. Yeah, so these have a more complicated name, but they're basically just swords. They can, of course, just fit into the hand just with these pegs here. They can also be pegged onto the side skirts here. It's kind of complicated to get them in just the right angle. There we go. Once those are pegged onto the side skirt, then you can actually just point the whole side skirt back like that to have them more back. So that's really cool. Then we have the Tsumu Hanotachi. This is a thing which is a kind of weird ninja claw thing which attaches onto the arm. This just attaches onto the arm like it would, sorry, I'm fumbling around here. Just attaches onto the arm like a normal shield, and then this gray part just flips back, and then you can just push these claws out for when in use. And again, according to the wiki, it's more for grappling a mobile suit, not really so much for inflicting damage. So yeah, that just attaches. So I guess you could attach this onto either arm, or no, actually, sorry, it wouldn't fit onto the Blitz arm. It will only fit onto the gold frame arm. So even when it's fully extended, it barely reaches past the hand, kind of, at all. So that seems a little bit not that useful, but it does have this, which is it's a cool, unique weapon, though. I like that. Then of course we have our Tricero Sky shield beam rifle. Overall, just pretty awesome weapon. I really like this weapon. It's one thing that I really like about the Blitz Gundam, so it's cool to see it coming into this kit. So of course this top part is just a beam rifle. You can also, it says it also just can be used as a beam saber as well. We don't have any beam saber effect part, but if you have another beam saber effect part from a different kit, you could maybe use that for this. I think you should be able to just stick that in the barrel. It should work. I'll have to try that. And then we have our three little dart spear things, which can pulled out and used separately if you want. I guess you could stick that in the hand and just hold these in the hand if you want. Otherwise, they just slide into place very firmly there in there. So that's nice. The kit's kind of falling over. Again, it's really, really cool detail on here. Really fantastic detail. Color separation is all super nice. This handle does rotate here, so you'll just plug this into the arm. This plug here is looks like it's on a track and it's going to move, but it actually doesn't. So let's see. We should just be able to put the hand on the handle first, and then once the hand is on the handle, pop that back onto the arm and plug this into the side of the arm. And there we go. Now our shield is nice and secure there, connected onto the arm. So I'm not really feeling like we're going to have any weight issues with that. And as I mentioned before, for these kind of dart anchor things here in the backpack, we have a wire, which is a long thin wire you cut in half. And then you can use it for these little guys. You just plug one in into there, plug the other end into here, and then you can have that wire, of course, shooting off like that, shooting that thing out to wherever you might want. I guess to hook someone in and then pull them in to get their battery sucked. And then finally we have our Okitsu no Kamagi weapon, which is basically just a spear kind of thing. This also attaches onto the arm, just like the claw weapon. So you have to choose. You can't use both of these, unfortunately. Really cool weapons, you have to only use one or the other. So this just attaches onto the arm, and then it can just be stored like that, or then you can actually just shoot it out, and then it's just like a spear weapon. So this can actually do quite a lot of stuff. So first off, we have our beam effect part. So these blades here at the end just open up. You then plug the beam effect part into there on one side, close this up around that, and then you've got your spear tip with the beam effect on it like that, and that looks pretty cool. And then another thing that you can do is pull this off, and then this also has a wire. This is a different gauge. This is a little bit larger wire, so you can tell them apart, and that just plugs into there and plugs into here, and then you can actually have that shooting out, and it's a spear with a beam effect part there on there. That's really cool, and again, no problems holding that at all. The wire is perfect for that. But then if we carefully take out this beam effect part, we'll stick this back on here, slide this all the way back in here like that, and this whole thing is going to rotate like this. And then we have our beam shield effect part, which will plug into there like so, like that. Now the kind of odd thing about this is then you have this huge big rod sticking out the back, which I feel like is definitely going to get in the way of the wings, so you'll have to be really careful on how you pose this. But that just plugs onto the arm, and then you can just use that as just a beam shield like this, which if it doesn't fall off here. So then that's just a beam shield for the mobile suit, like the Strike Freedom or something, like many of Seed kits did use, and I guess other series as well. But what you can also do with this is then just extend out the shield, and then fold that back forward, and then it's actually just like a shield at the end of your spear rod thing, like that. So very, very unique weapon there. And finally, our last accessory is this stand. Now this is very strange that they included this. Basically what this is for the end of the spear. Remember before I said how it can fly off on the wire, and just for some extra support, you can actually attach that onto the top of this guy as well. I have this backwards here, hang on, like that, and then this will plug into on here. Okay, not when the shield effect part is attached, but when you just have it in just its kind of spearhead form, this can just attach onto the top of this part. So it's basically when you have this out flying on the wire, if you're finding the wire is too weak, you can use this stand to help you pose that. Yeah, there goes the kit. So then that will be like that, and then attached onto the kit on the other end. Or I guess if you didn't want to use the wire, you could just have that just flying like that. Again, it probably would look better with the beam effect part added. But anyway, it just doesn't really seem necessary because the wire seems perfectly capable of holding that up. Without that, the wire is not that long. So yeah, this just doesn't really seem necessary at all. But I guess thanks. I guess you could probably just keep this and use it for a different kit. This is definitely not big enough or sturdy enough to be able to hold a kit on there, but there are plenty of other kits that use like different similar effect kind of things, that you have like funnels or something that you could use this for. This is just the regular size peg that you would use for like most kits, so you could probably find another use for this, but for this kit, just not really very necessary. Alright, so now that we're finally through all of that, we can start getting into some posing. I can show you guys what some of these cool, awesome weapons look like in use, but there's just too many weapons. This kit just has a ridiculous amount of weapons and option poses and different ways that you can pose this kit. If you want a real grade kit that has a lot of different weapons and posing options, this is definitely by far, I think, the most extensive one that I've seen. This is just really, really crazy amount of different weapons and posing options that you can do with this. So that's pretty awesome. I think for those people who like to do that, who like to change up the poses of their kits every now and then, you're really, really going to enjoy this one. Another thing that I'm finding actually quite funny about this build, just for me personally, building this and reviewing this, because I'm reviewing this kit for you guys now, and then the next kit that I'm going to be reviewing for you is the Super Fumina Axis Angel version, and I think both of these kits reflect a side of Japan so perfectly. Like, this kit has that whole like black and gold and red kind of lacquer dish sort of look to it. It's just very traditional Japanese colors, and it has like the whole ninja vibe with just all these like classical like ninja weapons and things that we think of when we think of Japan. Even the markings and stuff on it uses a bunch of Japanese kanji and things like that. So super like Japanese kind of design with this one. And then the Super Fumina Titans, the Super Fumina Axis Angel version, also just that look more like cute and anime girl culture of Japan. So I just find it actually quite funny that I'm reviewing them back to back like that. Alright, so in terms of negatives of this kit, I think if you're planning on painting this kit, there's not really anything negative to say about it, except for the fact that maybe it only comes with stickers and water slides would have been nice. But if you're planning on painting it, then I really can't think of anything that I could tell you as a negative of this kit. Obviously there are going to be some seam lines on the wings, but those should be relatively easy to get rid of, or just ignore if that really don't bother you too much, for those seam lines on those wing parts, just where those parts are just sandwiching together there. Other than that, on the main mobile suit, not really seam lines at all. Everything's really, really nicely part separated, so all the different colors and different parts are all separated there. Seam line there on the gun part of the Triceros shield there as well on the top of there. You'd have to maybe worry about that again if you want. So, but on the other hand, if you're not going to be painting the kit, you're just going to be snapping it up out of the box, you're also going to have a really nice, just straight up design, just nice, really, really nice looking kit just straight out of the box is what I mean to say. There are some areas where the nub marks on the black plastic are going to be kind of very difficult to clean up, very difficult to get totally invisible without doing any sanding, obviously, and then if you go in and do any sanding, then you're going to be ruining that gloss finish, so you are going to have a couple of problem nubs, I think. Mostly, though, not too bad. It's very, very few. There's a couple bad ones on the wings, a couple bad ones on the feet. That was really pretty much it. So most of them were pretty much fine. The gold, it just depends on if that gold is okay with you. Some people really don't like that color of gold that Bandai tends to use. I think in this case it doesn't look too bad because there aren't too many like really large sections of uninterrupted gold. There's a lot of detail there, and it's just broken up between all the black and everything. Kind of the largest sections of gold are like on the back, between the backpack and the mobile suit, which is pretty much very hard to see. So, and the stickers I think are not that great. So if you're going to be just building this up and not painting at all, I think you'll have a really nice looking real grade kit for sure. Probably one of the best looking real grade kits out there. But there are a couple things you are just going to want to be careful of, or you are going to want to consider for your own personal taste. Another thing I should point out too is that black gloss plastic attracts dust, and so especially on the backpack and wings where you have like the really large pieces, you're definitely going to notice when some dust starts collecting on that gloss black, and it's not going to look very good. So if you have like a glass case or a cabinet or something like that you can put this in, it'll be fine. That is something also to keep in mind. Also, you'll notice that the gray parts on the backpack where those little darts shoot out on the wires, I have mine, one of them is on backwards. I'll have to check the manual which one that is, but I don't know if any of you guys noticed. I'm sure someone may have already noticed already and left a comment for me pointing that out, but I've also noticed throughout filming this review that one of them is on the correct way, and one of them is on backwards. There's like a vent on one side and not on the other. And I noticed that is, yeah, there you can see it's wrong. But anyway, really, really great kit, fantastic kit. Really nice articulation, great part separation, fantastic weapon options for this. So if you're really wanting like a really good kit of the gold frame Amatsu Mina, I'd say this is probably undoubtedly the best version we've had out so far. And if you want just a really nice real grade kit, this is definitely a good one. So I could definitely recommend this for you guys. If you do still have any other questions or comments, you can leave those down below. There's so much that you can do with this kit, so I could only show you a few poses, but there's a lot of other different things that you can do in terms of posing this kit. So just enjoy it, pick one up, and just enjoy having some fun posing it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.